We call it people technology.
Now then, 154 for 6. Which team is happier at halftime? We'll find out on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout. Carlos Brathwaite with me. Carlos went through that innings. Delhi Capitals, for all their batting prowess and their might, are they going to be happy with 154? What happened in that innings?
I think where they started, I think getting 35 or 36 in the power play, and it felt like they were in a stranglehold throughout. I think getting up to 150 odd, they'd be happy with that. But at start of play, they'd probably want closer to 165, 170. It's just a good bowling performance by Rajasthan. You felt as though they never let Delhi get away. You talk about boundary balls, and from a bowling perspective, not bowling boundary balls, and they did exactly that. You're bowling at Shreyas Iyer and Rishabh Pant, two very destructive players, and you kept them without a six for a long time, and then only a few boundaries until Pant and Iyer um, took a few risks and brought the game back to some parity. So I think you have to credit Rajasthan for the bowling performance that they put down, to be honest.
Yeah, there were a couple of players there that looked like they'd consumed some balls. Rishabh Pant with the runner ball 24 just didn't seem like they could get going. What do you make of those sorts of innings? Was it tough to bat in the afternoon?
They say don't judge the pitch until both teams have batted on it. So it'd be interesting to see how um, Rajasthan bats on it and how they respond to the wicket. Um, but it looked as though just a bit slow. Look at Prithvi Shaw's dismissal.
Yeah.
It seems though he was through the shot a bit too early. Pant pulling from up top, looked like he was a bit through the shot too early as well. So it's interesting to see how it will play in this second innings. It can go one or two ways. Obviously, with the extreme heat, it can start to dry and crack a bit, or it may actually just flatten out and play very, very nicely. So it'd be interesting to see how the wicket does play in this second innings.
Yeah, I mean, we're almost not quite sure if this 154 should be looked at as a good effort by Delhi's batters or, something that's well below par. The second innings will tell us more. But if you look at each innings that had some sort of impact in that, Shimron Hetmeyer, was looking good with at one stage. You thought if he batted just another over or so, and this 154 could have been a bit more. He's in an alien position, Carlos, but even though he gets few opportunities or few and far in between, Hetmeyer tends to have an impact for the Capitals in this 5 or 6 sort of role.
And that's the beauty of what Delhi Capitals are trying to create. You have Steve Smith on the bench. You
Hmm.
toss up Steve Smith, Chevron Hetmeyer. 9 times out of 10, you go with Steve Smith. But for the role that you want them to play at the moment, Shimron Hetmeyer is perfectly suited to this role. Whether he comes into bat in the middle, 12th, 13th over, and there's a bit of spin on, very, very capable against spin, or needed at the back end to clear the ropes. And I loved how he played. We talk about the fours and sixes. One ball in particular showed me how switched on he was. He walked across. I think they were trying to go wide Yorker, and the ball was slower and wide. He was not in a good position. He just tucked it into the leg side for one. Albeit just a single, it just showed the clarity of mind that he has. He's not premeditating and then trying to go against the delivery that's being bowled. He has a pure mindset, and he is willing to play each ball on its merit and capitalize, whether for a boundary, whether for a six. And if that option isn't there, then he gets off strike, rotates his strike nicely. I felt Lalit Yadav could have helped him a bit. It felt as though coming on to the back end of his innings, he was the only one trying to get boundaries. And I know it takes time to get in and what's not, but Lalit Yadav didn't have much intent. At least from looking, that's how it seemed. So it felt as though if he could have probably gotten a one or two boundaries away, it could have given Hetmeyer a bit more leeway. But fantastic little cameo, and that's the Hetmeyer that we in the Caribbean know and love.
Yeah, I mean it's an unusual position for Shimron Hetmeyer, but he continues to have some sort of impact for the Capitals. Though if we are to compliment Rajasthan's bowlers, it did look like getting big shots away was hard. Mustafizur Rahman stands out. Carlos 2 for 22 seems like he's back to something near his best. He had a big impact for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. 3 or 4 years back. He's had his share of injuries since. It seems like Mustafizur is again finding his mojo when it comes to T20 bowling.
Yeah, he looks good again.
Hmm.
He's never lost that slow ball. He has some flexible, funky wrists. It's
Yeah.
difficult to pick up when you're batting him. But one thing that I think he lost for a couple of years after surgery was that Yorker. That Yorker being speared in at 135, 136. I'm not sure if he wasn't as comfortable in his body after injury, but you felt as though he lost it a bit and was going only to that slow ball, maybe pace on back into the wicket, and he kind of got found out. But with him executing the way that he's executed today, Rajasthan have not really a find because we all know what he can do. But the way that he's performing now is like a brand new Mustafizer. We can actually call him the Fizz again.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean we're seeing Mustafizur Rahman have an impact in the last game in this one too. But when you try and understand what conditions are, this is the first afternoon game, Carlos. You said looks like it's a bit slow. We just saw the one wicket fall to spin though. Is spin likely to have a big impact for the Capitals? They have a good bunch of spinners, Ashwin and Akshar Patel. We saw just the one wicket to Rahul Tewatia in the first innings.
Yeah, they're good players of spin as well. Can't take that away from them. So
Hmm.
whilst it may have been difficult to get spin away, because they're good players of spin, that's why they haven't lost many wickets to it. And I think spin, the last over spin bowled in what the 16th over, if I'm not mistaken. So then there was no
Yeah.
need to really go after the spin in seventh over, 17 or 18, and lose a few more wickets either. So the fact that it is slow may actually play into the batter's hands if you're a good player spin, because no, it doesn't rag from left to right or right to left. It spins very slowly as well. So it'd be interesting to see how their spinners go, but it doesn't seem like a rank turner as you could see from some afternoon games with the extreme heat.
Shreyas Iyer with 43 of 32. Again, just the 1 4 and 2 sixes. Not a lot of boundaries in that innings, but this is a guy coming back from injury. If he would have probably not been injured, he could have well made the T20 World Cup squad, Carlos. But he's going to keep his name in the selectors' minds at least, even though the squad's already been announced. That's two back to back 40s for Shreyas Iyer.
Yeah, and he'll want to carry on, knowing the character that he is. Mindset wise, I think he is the closest young Indian batsman to Virat Kohli, who's just hungry for runs, massive runs, and not for one game or two games or the odd cameo here and there. He wants to get the orange cap. He wants to be the man that is there at the end. He wants to be scoring the 80s, 90s, and hundreds. So yes, he'll be happy that with all due respect, coming back from injury to get 240s, but he will be hungry for more and hungry for lots more 60s, 70s, 80s. And when you look at the way he plays, we talk about dropping anchor, but he always looks so positive. He always looks as though he's in control. So 42 off 32, the strike rate may not exude the confidence that he showed with batting hand, but when you watch his knocks, it seems as though he wants to be the man and the main man at that.
154. It's one of those in between ones, isn't it? What sort of approach are you expecting from Rajasthan here? Just take the game deep, take it easy, because that can backfire at times, as they saw in the last game against their opposition, or you expect them to try and make light work of this, the KKR way.
Oh, definitely make light work of it. Sometimes 140, 150 is harder to chase than 180 and 190 because you're not sure how to get your tempo right. You're not sure how to balance attack, defense, setting up the game versus going all guns blazing. But I think just go out there and play naturally. The first six overs the power play does not ever change. So whether you're
Hmm.
chasing 80 or 180, those first six overs don't change. And then after the power play, you assess the wicket from a batting point of view. You assess the target with the amount of runs needed to get, and you make an assessment then, and you execute to suit. But I don't think these first six overs should ever change. So go out there, play an actual game, play some shots, entertain the crowd, and then assess from over number seven onward.
Dale Steyn in the last Delhi Capitals game said Andrik Nokia is your typical first change bowler. We saw the Capitals try and use him differently. They went first up with the new ball against David Warner. Is that something you'd like to see again now, or would you reserve Nokia for the middle and start maybe with spin looking at the surface that you've got?
It'd be interesting. Probably they'll give the spinner one over, but after the way that Nortje started, I'd be tempted to go with him first over. Kind of take the
Hmm.
pitch out of the equation, rock hard new ball, 145 Ks an hour, have some of that, try to get through 1 or 2 wickets early, and then all of a sudden 150 seems a mountain to climb. So I'd be tempted to go with Nortje first up, see what the wickets give with the pace, the raw pace that he has, and then depending on how it goes, probably chuck a spinner in, or potentially go with a Rabada or Avesh Khan if something is there for the pace.
Is Liam, yep. Is Liam Livingston at all alien to that opening spot? He got a lot of his runs batting at 4 in 100. I have seen him open in the past. Has he got it against the likes of an Andrik Nokke and that sort of pace?
That may help him. It's not South Africa or Australia the ball be buzzing around your ears. And he's a good player, a pace, loves a little length ball around hip height to slap over mid wicket. So with the power play and 2 players out, it's probably set the stage for him actually to just go out there and play his game, and get the team off to a quick start. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes. But looking forward to it. Shouldn't be much spin. I don't think he's the best starter to spin. But even if there is spin, there are only 2 players out. There are more options for him versus coming in at 4 and having to rotate, and hit the odd boundary.
I know you like to go for the underdog. So let me see if you can describe decide which one's the underdog today. Are you going to go for Delhi or are you going to go for Rajasthan with 154?
Is too tight. It's too tight. I'll take Rajasthan. They need to be in the ascendancy. They have some momentum going into the second innings, and with a batting lineup that is equally adept with pace or spin. If they do what they are capable of, they should walk this in 17, 18 overs.
All right, Carlos, that's a nice specific prediction for me. That's what I like. I'm going to see you at the end of the game as we build up to the second game for the day. Sanjay Manjrekar will join us then as well. And we'll see if Rajasthan Royals can pull off what would be an upset if you just look at where these teams are on the points table against the Delhi Capitals. So do join us when Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 time on then.
We call it people technology.